Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're going to take a close look at the Quanum FPV ground station from HobbyKing. So today we're in the studio taking a look at the FPV ground station. Usually we would be out in the field doing this, but it's snowing outside and it's pretty cold. But I've received all the pieces that go with the ground station. I've put them all together, I've hooked them all up, and I thought what we would do is take a tour of everything so you can see how it operates, what your options are, look at the inputs and all that good stuff. So really you're looking at a lot of different products here, but what we want to start with is the box. So we're going to swing it around and look at the back side first and talk about the power options. So we have an on and off switch, and this on and off switch powers 1, 2, 3, 4 12 volt outputs. So what it's made to power are 2 receivers and a monitor, and then we'll talk about some additions that you might want to stick on here, like some goggles, and I will do that at the end. And then the other pretty cool feature is this USB port, and if you're running a tablet or a phone, or if you just needed a USB out for power, that's here too. That's pretty awesome. 5 volt for things that can handle 12 volt that you don't want to smoke. The real question is, hey, where's it getting its power? It is a field box, and this is pretty cool. Now, I've complained about this. Let me just unplug this. I've complained about this issue in the past, so I have created monitors with DVRs that go out to my Headplays and all that, and I've run them off of a single LiPo. But unless you're running a voltage alarm, you never know when that battery's going dead, unless you check it a lot. And that is an important thing to note. So here, and I will zoom in with a photo, is a picture of an LED that you can run from a 3 to 6 cell in here, and this thing is going to tell you the voltage, total voltage, and then it'll also look at each cell. And the great part is you can set a limit. So I believe I've got this set at like 375, and when it hits that, it produces a loud alarm that will let you know, hey, it's time to swap out the battery. And while we're talking about batteries, if you're ordering from HobbyKing, which you are, of course, to get this unit, here is the battery we're powering this from. It fits in there perfectly. It is the Multi-Star 5200 4-cell by Turnigy, and big, and looks to me like it's made for this unit. So if you're going to be purchasing this, go ahead and grab that as a dedicated LiPo. And then we're going to swing around to the front, and I've got this lifted up, and you can see it. That's good. So we have some plugs that are coming in here, and I guess to explain this side, what we would need to do is swing around to this side. So what the box comes with is a couple of holders, and these literally slide on and off. And so this is to hold a pair of video receivers. Now, can you use any video receiver? Technically you could, but if you want to utilize the box fully, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to, and let's zoom in on these guys, you're going to want to utilize the Quanums, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But this is an auto scan receiver, and it has 2-button operation on the front, which is good. I like this signal indicator right here. That's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever owned a receiver that did that before. 32 channels, A, B, E, and F bands with auto lock. This can, these guys each come with everything you need. You can run them separately if you weren't running them on this box, but they run 7.4 to 12.6 volt LiPos. They have dual AV outputs and the OLED display, and the low voltage indicator on these as well. So if you weren't running them on this box, these actually would warn you if your battery's going low. Awesome. I've never seen these before, and of course we're not in the field because of the weather, but visually and everything else, they work great. And then while we're looking at these, we might as well talk about the antennas, which I'm kind of blown away at the price. So these antennas are HobbyKing units as well. And these are the AOM-way, the OM-way, the AM-way, AOM-way. I'm not sure. Anyway, these are from HobbyKing, And the crazy part is this big patch antenna is $14, and the little cloverleaf is $15, and you get a pair of those. So what does this get you if you're new to the hobby? This is more of a directional antenna. It does have to be pointing at whatever you're flying, and there's paper on the back. The paper does not point at the craft. You want this signal to be pointed at your craft. It's supposed to really reach out, and I read some reviews on this from folks who have purchased them, and they said that these things were crazy, and really when you're running this antenna, your weakness will be your transmitter to your craft if you can get as far out as these can. We'll find out when the snow falls, but I don't know about that. But I do know at 14 bucks they're awesome. And then the Amway 5.8 4-leaf clover leaf antenna set. Once again, you get 2 of these. And so for the newbies out there, what you're looking at here are a series of wires, and when your craft is sending the signal out from the other side of this, it's an antenna just like this, it spins out the signal, which means it is a broad signal. It's not linear, it's wide, and so this is a receiver for that. So this is an omnidirectional antenna. The only issue I have here is that these things are down. I'm going to zoom out. The only issue I have is that these are low, and that I would really love it if they were high. If they were actually higher than that, I would want them. What am I hooked up to? I've got wires that won't let me go higher, but I would like them at least over the monitor. That would make me feel better. So at this point, if you're utilizing this system, you're going to want to be standing here, and your craft's going to be out there, and that way everything will be talking. I might even direct that up like this a little bit to get a little more of an angle. So now let's talk about wires. We have the green wire, the black wire, and this wire. So the green wires are going here to your RSSI input, and then the second black wire is your video out, and this comes with these cables, so you'll have what you need. Now the video receivers have cables too, and they're pretty similar actually, but if you don't buy these particular receivers, you will have the cables you need with the base unit. And then around back, which is pretty awesome, and maybe I don't know, there's a lot of features, but one great feature is that you have this 12-volt out, so you're powering both these receivers, and I have the power coming off our monitor, which we'll talk about in just a second. And so this is all porting into the box, and then the box is using your RSSIs to determine which one is stronger and picking the strongest channel. So you have true diversity in this box with 2 receivers who are not, you know, these are not diversity receivers. It's just a pair of receivers. And so the smart box here is creating the diversity for you. And then we have the Field View 777. Let's pan up to that. And so let's take a look. This is simply going into your red ports right here, which are your RCA outs or your video outs. And so any monitor, of course, will work. At the top of the unit, there is a screw, and you can just screw it in just like you would any of your monitors, like on a tripod or whatever. And so let me say what I do like about this, the screen, is the hood is awesome. Now, I just had one in my hand. It's in a box somewhere, but I have hoods for other LCD screens, and they always fold in the middle or on the sides. They're always blocking my view, and I ultimately rip them off because I'm like, I need to see my on-screen display and all that stuff. This thing is really stout and works great, so I'm a big fan. Now your holder here is for an iPad or some kind of smart device, and there is some assembly required, so let's pan down on that a little bit. So I've got my iPad here, and these arms actually can move up and down. And so if you were running some sort of, you know, like an iPad or whatever to do some, there we go. So if you're utilizing an iPad in any way, this will hold it here. Then you have your FPV screen, and then the great part is the USB jack is on the back, so then you can power this thing and not worry about running out of battery. There is some assembly required with this piece right here. It's not hard at all. And there are some options on leg links, so you can do a small, if you wanted to do a cell phone, you can do that as well. And then finally, the tripod itself comes from HobbyKing, and it's just your standard tripod. There'll be links to everything I'm talking about in my review on RC Groups, links to the receivers, link to the monitor. If you wanted to go to HobbyKing and buy everything you needed to get going, I will have all those links in my review. So one more thing that I wish it had, maybe on the next version, is we have video outs. So we have 3 video outs here. I wish it had audio out, because really audio is important in FPV flight. You need to hear what's going on up there. And then before we get out of here, I'm going to go get my Headplays, and we'll plug that in and talk about that. All right, these are the Headplay HD Units. They're my current favorite goggles. Well, they're not goggles, but the unit that I use for FPV. And they have and come with a cable with a video in. So I'm going to plug that into one of my open RCA video out ports on the box. We also have power, and we have audio, which of course we can't use, but we can use the video. So I'm going to go into the video out here, and you see the red ports. And then the other great feature is the Headplay cable also has a female and male for power. So I'm going to take the provided cable that came with the box, and I'm going to plug that into my Headplay power input. So now I am completely running off the HobbyKing box, power, video, everything. And then you want to go to your aux 2, and you will then see what the receivers are picking up. So now essentially what you have are diversity on your Headplays, which is great, something you can't get right now. These are all the things I like. I like that I can run the goggles. I also have another out for another set of goggles. I have the monitor here if I have somebody standing around wanting to know what I'm doing. I also have the monitor if I were to lose signal on the goggles. I would have this monitor as a backup, so I could rip the goggles off my head and see what's going on through this unit, which I almost always do that in the field. So these are all the positives that I like about the unit. Really the only 2 negatives are the lack of audio out, and I would really like it if the receivers were in a different position and possibly a little higher, so that I could receive it. Now, if you're like, you know, standing the way I said before, that works. And this is omnidirectional, and so you're going to get signals from around the back and side as well, so that works. So this is kind of a summation of the unit, all the pieces that go with this, and I'm going to have links to everything I'm talking about in my review on rcgroups.com. You can find that link to that review in the description below. I'm Jim T. Graham. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for watching rcgroups.com.